Folks, this situation will not end well. I'll tell you what I mean and then get into the latest home prices and insights for the city of Toronto for week ending February the 12th, 2025. I was speaking with a gentleman, and him and his girlfriend bought a property with another friend and his girlfriend. They bought the property together. The two friends, the two males, are the ones that invested the money to buy together. Now, I'll get into the whole background story in a second, but with home prices the way they are, no matter what level they're at now, it's still very, very difficult to buy. Prices are really high out there. And so people are going to come up with all sorts of creative ways of owning a home. Home ownership is still very important to a lot of people out there. So they're going to get creative in how they buy the home. And we've seen parents helping children. We've seen, brothers and sisters getting together. We've seen all sorts of different scenarios out there. And one scenario that we're coming across more and more is two friends getting together. We'll call it co-ownership. They're not related. They're not family. One is not co-signing for the other, but together they buy a property and they both live there. So co-ownership and cohabitation. And in this scenario that I'm about to explain, what happened was one couple was looking at buying a condo. And his friend, the other couple, were also looking to buy a condo. And they've been friends for many years. And they came up with this idea that instead of buying a condo on our own separate, why don't we pool our money together and we'll buy a house? One of us could live in one part of the house. The other one lives in the other part of the house. We've got greater opportunity in house values going up than condo values going up. Let's do this for 5 years until our mortgage renewal comes in. And in those 5 years, at the end, at our mortgage renewal in 5 years, we'll make a decision. If there's enough appreciation, maybe we sell and we go our separate ways and buy our own home, or we continue. Whatever the case is, they were going to wait out 5 years to decide what would be the next step. It all sounds like a pretty good idea. What could go wrong, right? Well, I'm speaking to one of those partners, and the reason I'm speaking with him, he's called me, he's in a predicament, and the situation is this. His friend, the other partner, lost their job. It's been a little while now that they've lost their job. They've been looking for another job, having a difficult time finding it. And the person I'm speaking with is covering all the mortgage payments, most of the expenses. The other one's contributing just like not even close to what they should be contributing. And it's reaching a point where the person I'm speaking with sees that they can't continue this much longer. Like they see them running out of money, that, I can't cover all the expenses. The reason we got together is because I couldn't do this on my own in a house. If it was a condo, payments would be lower. It'd be simpler and easier for me to do. But what we did here, I can't do this on my own. And when you really kind of start looking at it, and we were discussing options, the only real options are either he buys out his friend, which he cannot afford to do. He can buy out his friend and his friend could pay rent, which again, he can't afford to buy out his partner, or to sell. Now they're only a year into this relationship. If he sells, he's going to lose money. Both sides are. They're going to lose a big, big part. Most of their down payment is what they'd be losing. And he sees it as totally, totally unfair. Now, they had an exit strategy. In 5 years, they were going to reevaluate. But they really had no contingency plan. Well, what if something else goes sideways along the way? These situations happen. think of husband and wife. Many times, in most scenarios today, husband and wife's income together is the only way that they can afford a house purchase. Not just husband while wife doesn't work. It's husband and wife's income together to purchase the home. Well, what if one of them loses their job and can no longer afford to pay? On the other one's income, you do all you can to try to cover all the expenses until the one that lost their job finds another job. Well, what if you're running out of rope? That other job hasn't been found yet. At some point, husband and wife are going to have to make a decision. We need to sell. And even if it's at a loss, they're going to sell. They're going to wipe the dust off, regroup, and focus on their future together as a couple. It's not a pleasant situation to be in, but it's understandable when it's husband and wife. Well, even though these two are friends, hopefully they're still friends, it's not so understandable anymore when they're friends, because one of them is thinking, well, why do I got to be burdened with this loss or extra financial hardship because that other person lost their job? You see what I mean by what could go wrong, and this scenario is not going to end well. It's unlikely to end well. Folks, look, there's no real solution to this without financial loss. Nobody's going to come out of this better off than what they came in. But what's really bothering the person I spoke with, that it's also ruining a relationship, a strong relationship, a friendship that he's had for many, many years. I guess what I could say is this is real life. These situations happen. These are two friends that got together to buy. It happens with family, parents and children getting together. It happens with brothers and sisters getting together. It happens in all sorts of situations where relationships and finances are mixed. Think long and hard before you get into situations like that, where you mix a relationship with finances. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, it's really simple. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Here we go, folks. Let's take a close look at the city of Toronto. We're going to be focused on detached semis and towns. I also have condos on the board here. Average sold price between the condos, these are condo apartments, and detached properties, it's about $940,000. There's a big gap between the average condo price and the average detached price just for the city of Toronto. So again, just for the city of Toronto, detached properties for week ending February the 12th, 107 detached properties were sold. Kind of sort of looks like sales are trending up. We did more sales than the previous week, but the previous week was lower than the week before that. Kind of looks like sales are headed upwards. The amount of properties selling at $2 million or more has been trending upwards. An average sold price is sitting at $1,615,000, which is kind of, I think, midway mark to where we've been. We're a little bit on the higher side of what we've seen over the last few months. Compared to last year, 1,615 is 3% higher year over year. The median price is 1% lower. Median price is 1.3. And if we look at this year, it's mostly been January with a couple weeks into February now, because for this chart, it's week ending February the 12th. If we look at the dotted line, which is a 4-week moving average, average price and median price have been trending upwards. Sales, fewer sales than this time last year. The amount of properties selling at list price or more is 46%. Listings this year versus the same period last year at this time, we are listing far more properties are coming up for sale than what were listed for sale last year at this time. Active listing is sitting at 1,496. So active listings are trending upwards. Months of inventory came down a little bit. It's now at 3.2 months of inventory. That's for the whole city of Toronto as an average. If we break the city down, some areas, well, you're not going to experience the same type of market depending on neighborhood, depending on price point. We said the whole city sitting at 3.2, but some areas are far more aggressive. If we look at Scarborough accounts for this week ending that we just finished now, week ending February the 12th, Scarborough accounts for 35% of all sales for the detached market. And months of inventory sitting at 2 months of inventory. 59% of those detached properties sold at list price or more. So Scarborough's far more competitive. Price point has a lot to do with that. East York, Riverdale, 2.1 months of inventory. High Park, 2.5 months of inventory. Rexdale, Downsview, 1.4 months of inventory. So depending on who you're speaking with, you could be talking to somebody says, yeah, I'm on the market, man, I'm looking to buy, and everywhere I look, or a lot of the properties are being sold with an offer date, or there's competing offers. And you could be speaking to someone who says, well, we're on the market and we're barely getting any showings. It all depends. Price point, neighborhood, all has a lot to do with it. Semi-detached properties. Sales jumped up from the previous week. 41 semis were sold. 11 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Compared to last year, I never even told you the average sold price. Average sold price is $1,319,000. 1,319 is 1% lower than the same time a year ago. The median price of 1,220 is 3% lower year over year. Months of inventory sitting at 1.6 months of inventory. Townhouses, these are freehold townhouses. For week ending February the 12th, 7 townhouses were sold. 3 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price is $1,294,000. 1,294 is 6% higher year over year. The median price is higher than that. It's $1,415,000, and that's 13% higher than the same time a year ago. Months of inventory for freehold townhouses is sitting at 4.3 months of inventory. Here's a quick summary. Semis, very competitive. Detached, if we look at the city as a whole in summary, well, look, we're going to be right, just kind of headed into a balanced market category. There's going to be some competition, but price point, neighborhood will play a lot into whether there's going to be competing offers or property is going to sit there for a little while. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.